like a broken record, just like a broken record, just like a broken record, just like a broken record.
Now, we always start on the defensive side for the Raiders, and I usually give 4 keys, and I wanted to give 4 poops because it looks like they were in full tank mode. And I got a little bit of information on that we'll share a little bit later. But my first key to the game, or tank to the game, was, of course, Jonathan Taylor coming back. And the goal, if you wanted to tank, let him have 100+ yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 10 rushing first downs. What actually happened? He got 147 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 8 rushing first downs for the team, and of course that big 66-yard touchdown run, unbelievable. And for that, I got to give it an F. Not only did he break out with that big run, nobody was really around. The defensive scheme let it break loose. I know we've had some injuries. There's still no excuse for that. Between that and the next key we'll talk about, for our second poop of the game, that was this defensive line. Very quiet of late, and if they wanted to keep tanking, I wanted to see 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, and allow over 50% third down conversions. Now, of course, I'm not into tanking. I want to see usually about 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and keep that under that 50% third down conversion rate. This is what actually happened. We only got 1 sack and 1 quarterback hit. Of course, that was from maxxcrosby. What else is new? We allowed a 55% third down conversion rate, 6 of 11. To me, that's unacceptable, especially with a guy like Matt Ryan. Erlinger did not start. Jeff Saturday pulled him back, put Matt Ryan back in. Matt Ryan was a turnover machine, and then he quote-unquote got hurt. They started the rookie for a couple weeks, and then they got rid of the offensive coordinator, head coach. He got his job back. He had basically all day in that pocket. Very clean, and we'll get to the final defensive grade, and it shouldn't be any surprise. It's going to be an F as well, and this is why it's an F. Not only these keys, but the Indianapolis Colts were 29th in yardage. Coming into this game, we allowed 415 total yards to this team. And like I said during halftime report, Matt Ryan was absolutely clean in this game. Of course, he had the 1 sack, big whoop. That's nothing. He got to do whatever he wanted, picked apart the secondary. And to top it all off, I talked about the Jonathan Taylor big run. Of course, he's a stud. But what about Matt Ryan? He got a 39-yard run. This man is 36 years old. We're not talking about Lamar Jackson. We're not talking about Justin Fields here. We're talking about Matt Ryan. Slowpoke Matt Ryan gets a 39-yard run up the middle, basically. I know he's probably about the hash marks, actually, but still unacceptable. And again, you're back here. You got your hands open. I have to show you 2 weeks in a row because nothing's really changed. Nothing's really changed, and I'm going to explain why nothing's really changing, because some new news came out to light this afternoon, and I'll get to that after we get to our offensive side of the ball. Clown show continues. Now on the offensive side of the ball, still a clown show. I'll explain the grades are a little bit different, but I will explain that. First, I want to talk about the offensive line. It's the first key to the game. Worried about their pass rush. If they were going to totally tank, allow at least 4 sacks, 10 quarterback hits, and 1 turnover related to that. What actually happened was 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and a 38% third down conversion rate, which is actually 5 of 13. I'm going to give it a C-. I think they did better than what the actual stats showed. I think Carr held the ball a little bit too long, number one, and stayed in the pocket too long. He didn't shuffle out. He didn't run. And that caused a lot of problems with this offensive line. Not to say they did a great job, but I've seen much worse from this line, believe me, and so have you. Now, my second key to the game was, of course, Davante Adams here. I was looking, if you're going to tank it, less than 100 receiving yards, because he's basically the only main weapon we have now. No touchdowns and 1 interception due to lack of effort like he did a few weeks back. What he actually did was 126 receiving yards and a touchdown. I got to give this an A for Davante Adams. I mean, not only the stat line, but you could tell he was out there. He was grinding. He went and basically grunted that way to that first down that you saw in the second half. He was giving everything he got. Overall, this offense, I'm going to give it a D. I'm not going to give it an F because they did come out. They did score 20 points. I would not call that a failure. Now, remember, keep this in mind. The Indianapolis Colts came into this game with the 5th ranked defense as far as yardage goes. So there is something to be said about that. 304 total yards. Not very impressive. Again, I wasn't going to give it an F. I don't think it deserves an F, but it's definitely not a decent grade. And one more thing I want to mention about the offense that you could possibly give it an F was the penalties, the sloppy play. 10 penalties overall. Most of those were on the offensive side, 74 total yards. And it just shows, again, a lack of preparation, a lack of coaching here by this guy right here. But this seems to be with a purpose. Now, a lot of people have had some conspiracy theories about tanking. And there is some evidence about that. I'm going to show you that right now. This is the brain trust behind this. This is from Las Vegas Review Journal. This came out today, basically saying that Mark Davis remains firmly in Josh McDaniels' corner. I've read the whole article. Here's Mark Davis talking about Josh McDaniels after the game. As far as Josh goes, I have no issues. I'm getting to know him a lot better. When you sign somebody to a contract, don't you expect him to fulfill the contract? I like Josh. I think he's doing a fantastic job. You have to look at where we came from, where we're going. Okay, where's the fantastic job at? 2-7, the locker room's divided and crumbling. We have to look where we came from. We ended up 10-7 last year. That's where we came from. We came from a lot of dysfunction last year, and the guys pulling together. Now it looks like a bunch of guys don't give a shit, and that is echoed in the post-game pressers by Davante Adams and Derek Carr. Derek Carr basically crying out there because he's tired of this. This is McDaniels talking about the owner, Tommy Boy Davis. He's been great, has the same energy as we all do, if not more. He's been here a long time. He's seen this when it's been good, and he wants to win as bad or worse than anybody else. You know what? I want to see this. He's seen this when it's been good. What? When he was a child? When Al ran this organization? It hasn't been good when he's been here. That's a bunch of bullshit right there. And he feels the same frustration. I don't buy that for one fucking minute. He's here to make money. That's the bottom line. This team is out and outright tanking. When you give a stamp of approval to this guy, 2-7, this locker room is clearly divided. And if you watch the presser with Josh McDaniels talking, they addressed, well, Davante Adams, Derek Carr saying there's a lot of people not giving full effort. He just deflected it. He didn't say, yeah, we got some problems. We're clearing it up. He didn't own anything. You know, this is all by design. And I'm telling you right now, and I said it last week, I'm going to keep tooting this. You know, Raider Nation, very loyal, probably to a fault. Let's be honest here. I got to say it again. I'm not going to give this team another nickel until they show the Al Davis commitment to excellence that this friggin' franchise was actually kind of founded on. Now I know they started a couple years before, and they were like this. They were like shit. And then Al Davis came in and turned this around and made this a proud organization. And now it's regressed back to that day, those pre-Al days. And I'm not going to give them one friggin' nickel of my money. Forget it.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby.